Right now, at this exact moment, a tanker carrying $20 million worth of crude oil is moving through a corridor of water so narrow, you could almost throw a stone from one side to the other. That corridor is 21 miles wide at its thinnest point. And every single day, ships carrying nearly 20% of the world's oil supply pass through it. One choke point, one stretch of water, one fragile lifeline. But here's what nobody tells you. People live here. Real people, families, fishermen, children who go to school in the morning and watch warships from their bedroom window at night. This place is one of the most dangerous flashpoints on the planet. It's also one of the most heartbreakingly beautiful places I have ever seen. This is the Strait of Hormuz. And this is the story of the people who call it home. Let's start with the basics, because if you don't understand what this place is, you can't understand why it matters. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway sitting between Iran to the north and the UAE and Oman to the south. At its narrowest, it's just 21 miles wide. And in those 21 miles, there are 2 shipping lanes, each one 2 miles across. Every day, between 15 and 20 massive oil tankers pass through those lanes. We're talking about ships the length of 4 football fields carrying enough oil to power entire cities. Qatar's liquefied natural gas, Saudi crude, Iraqi oil, Emirati reserves, all of it funneled through this single, impossibly narrow corridor. If you drive a car, you felt the Strait of Hormuz in your wallet. If you heat your home, fly on a plane, or buy anything that was shipped across an ocean, the Strait of Hormuz is part of your life, whether you know it or not. This is the jugular vein of the global economy, and it has never been fully at peace. In the 1980s, Iran and Iraq turned this strait into a war zone, attacking hundreds of ships in what became known as the Tanker War. In 2019, tankers were mysteriously attacked and set on fire with mines attached to their hulls. In 2021, Iran seized a South Korean flagged vessel and held its crew for months. And as recently as 2024 drone strikes, naval standoffs, and warnings from Tehran that if provoked, they would close the strait entirely. Closing the strait. Just think about that for a second. If Iran shut this waterway even for a few weeks, economists estimate oil prices could spike by 40 to 50% almost overnight. Global supply chains would seize up, stock markets would crater, the ripple effects would hit every country on Earth. And yet, on the shore below those mountains, someone is baking bread right now. Someone is dropping their kids at school. Someone is casting a net into this exact water, hoping for a good catch. Life goes on here. It always has. And that is the story I want to tell you today. Dawn on the Strait of Hormuz hits different. There's a stillness here early morning that feels almost sacred. The water goes completely flat. The mountains turn purple, then orange, then gold. And the first boats of the day push off into a light that looks like it was designed by a painter. This is Hormuz Island. A small Iranian island sitting almost directly in the middle of the strait. About 6,000 people live here. No cars, no tourists, not really. Just fishing boats, narrow alleyways, and one of the most surreal landscapes on the planet. The soil here is red, deeply, unnervingly red, rich in iron oxide. The locals have been grinding it for centuries to make a pigment they use in their food, their art, their buildings. There are places on this island where the ground looks like the surface of Mars. And then there's the water. That specific shade of blue-green that doesn't look real until you're standing in it. On clear days, you can see straight to the bottom. Fish moving in formation below, tankers moving on the surface above. It's that kind of contradiction that defines this entire place. Come deeper into the island, past the harbor, past the boats, into the alleyways where the real life happens. The market here is one of the oldest in the region. Spice traders have worked these stalls for centuries, selling saffron, dried limes, turmeric, rosewater. The smell hits you before you even turn the corner. Women move through the market in brilliantly colored fabrics, deep purples, turquoise, burnt orange, a visual explosion against the dusty ochre walls behind them. This is not the Iran of Western news coverage. This is not tension and politics and nuclear negotiations. This is just life. Vivid, specific, ordinary life in an extraordinary place. Cross the water just 20 minutes by boat and you reach the Omani side of the strait, Kasab, the capital of the Musandam Peninsula. A place so remote, so rugged, so geographically disconnected from the rest of Oman that the locals call it the Norway of Arabia. These are fjords, real fjords, in the Arabian Peninsula. Carved over millions of years by water and tectonic movement, the Musandam fjords are one of the most spectacular and least visited natural wonders in the entire Middle East. The rock is limestone, white and gray and ancient. It catches the light at sunset and turns amber, then rose, then deep red. The Shiha people have lived in these mountains and on these waters for thousands of years. They built stone villages on the cliff sides, some only accessible by boat. They developed a dialect so distinct from mainstream Arabic that linguists still debate its origins. They survived by fishing these waters, trading with the people across the Strait Iranians, Emiratis, Balochis, long before any of the modern borders existed. Here's what hits you when you spend time on both sides of this strait. These people, Iranian on one shore, Omani on the other, they are not enemies. They have been neighbors, trading partners, sometimes family, for centuries. The hostility you read about in the news, that lives in capitals, in Tehran, in Washington, in the halls of power. Down here at water level, it's just people trying to make a life. But let's not romanticize this. Because the beauty of the Strait of Hormuz comes with a price, and the people who live here pay it every single day. On the Iranian side of the strait, unemployment in the coastal communities runs at nearly 40% in some areas. 40%. These are towns where the main industry, fishing, has been strangled by decades of economic sanctions, military restrictions on where boats can go, and the sheer volatility of living inside one of the world's most militarized waterways. The fishermen here navigate a brutal daily reality. On one side, Iranian Revolutionary Guard patrol boats that can stop and search them at any time. On the other, international naval forces, commercial shipping, traffic, and unmarked military vessels from half a dozen countries. They fish in a corridor that is simultaneously a global trade route, a military theater, and their only source of income. Sometimes I look up, one fisherman told a journalist, and there is a ship the size of a building passing 30 meters from my boat. And I think, does the captain even know I'm here? The fishing itself has become harder. Decades of heavy tanker traffic has disrupted migration patterns of fish. Occasional oil spills officially denied, often visible from shore, have damaged reef systems that local communities depended on for generations. The catches are smaller, the fuel to go further out costs more, and the profit margins on what they do catch have been crushed by middlemen and an economy warped by isolation. For the children of the Strait, the question everyone asks is the same. Do you stay or do you go? The educated ones, the ones who make it through university, largely leave. They go to Tehran, to Muscat, to Dubai, to anywhere that offers something more than subsistence, living in one of the world's most geopolitically volatile neighborhoods. The ones who stay because of family, because of the sea, because of something that doesn't translate easily into economic language, because this is home. And then there are the smugglers. The economic desperation of the Strait has created one of the most active smuggling corridors in the world. Fuel heavily subsidized in Iran is smuggled across the water to the UAE and Oman, where it sells for 10 times the price. Electronics, cigarettes, alcohol, and darker things. The smuggling boats are fast, purpose-built fiberglass speedboats that can cross the strait in under 30 minutes. They run at night, without lights, at speeds that make them almost impossible to intercept. Some of the men doing this are career criminals. Most of them are just fathers trying to feed their families. That distinction matters, and it gets lost completely in the geopolitical coverage of this place. The Omani side carries its own weight. The Musandam Peninsula is one of the most isolated regions of Oman, separated from the rest of the country by UAE territory, reachable only by sea or by crossing an international border. Healthcare is limited, infrastructure is thin. The government has invested, there are new roads, a growing port in Kasab, but the remoteness never fully goes away. And everywhere on both shores, the military presence is constant. Not aggressive, necessarily, but always there, always visible. Warships on the horizon, fighter jet contrails overhead, the distant thud of naval exercises carried on the wind. You normalize it, the residents say. You stop noticing it, but it's there, every single day. If you're still with me, and if this kind of storytelling is what you come to YouTube for, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. We go deep on the places the world talks about but never actually shows you. And we're just getting started. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or more accurately, the aircraft carrier in the room. The United States' Fifth Fleet is headquartered in Bahrain, less than 200 miles from the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has one of the largest naval forces in the region and has repeatedly demonstrated both the capability and the willingness to challenge international shipping in these waters. These two forces have been locked in a cold confrontation here for over 4 decades, and the Strait of Hormuz is the board they play on. Here's how the game works. Iran's strategy military analysts call it asymmetric warfare, relies not on matching US firepower, but on making the strait too dangerous and unpredictable for normal shipping operations. Speedboat swarms, underwater mines, shore-based anti-ship missiles hidden in these mountains we just showed you, the beautiful ones, the ones that look like paintings. Those mountains contain some of the most advanced anti-ship missile batteries in the region. Chinese supplied, Russian assisted, Iranian developed. Systems capable of hitting a moving tanker or a US warship from dozens of miles away. The same cliffs that turn rose gold at sunset are riddled with military infrastructure. The same water that catches the light like liquid gold every morning has been mined before and could be mined again. In 2019, 6 tankers were attacked in the Gulf of Oman just outside the strait. Limpet mines magnetic, attached to hull by divers, designed not to sink the ships, but to send a message. The message: we can do this. We can do this whenever we want. The US blamed Iran. Iran denied it. International investigators concluded Iran was responsible. The ships kept moving, the oil kept flowing, because the alternative, the real alternative, is almost too big to think about. What would actually happen if Iran closed the strait? Not just disrupted closed. Within 24 hours, oil markets in freefall. Within 72 hours, emergency declarations from Japan, South Korea, India, countries that get the vast majority of their oil through this water. Within a week, the United States, under treaty obligations, would almost certainly respond militarily. And at that point, we're in a conflict that nobody on any side has a clear plan for getting out of. This is the reality these people wake up to every morning, not as an abstract geopolitical scenario, as the actual, physical, visible backdrop of their lives. They don't look up anymore. That's what adaptation looks like, up close. On the Omani side, there's a different dynamic. Oman has always been the great neutralist of the Gulf, maintaining diplomatic ties with Iran even as other Gulf states severed them. During the Iran nuclear talks, Oman served as the back channel, the quiet room where Americans and Iranians could speak without it being a news event. Qasab, this tiny, remote port town we visited earlier, has been, at various points in recent history, one of the most diplomatically significant places in the world. Nobody there will tell you that. They'll tell you about the fishing. But you get the sense that people here understand on a cellular level that diplomacy is survival. Coexistence. Not peace, not war, just coexistence. It's the most honest description of what this place is. So why do they stay? That's the question I kept asking myself the more I learned about this place. Why do you raise a family here? Why do you fish these waters with all the risk, all the restriction, all the instability? Why do you stay? And the answer, the only real answer I found, is the same one you'd find anywhere in the world where people choose to live with risk. Because it's beautiful, because it's theirs. Because the sea you grew up on, no matter how dangerous, is still the sea you know. The light in the morning, the smell after rain, the way the mountains look at a specific hour, the sounds of the call to prayer bouncing off the cliffs across the water. You don't leave a place like that easily. And honestly, can you blame them? This place contains contradictions that most of us will never encounter in our entire lives. A landscape so beautiful it takes your breath away that also contains missile batteries. A water so blue and clear and alive that has been mined, attacked, and militarized for decades. A people so warm, so rooted, so vivid, living inside a situation so volatile that the entire world holds its breath every time tensions spike. I think about what it would feel like to look at that horizon, to see the ships passing, to know what they carry and what it means, to know who's watching and why and what's at stake, and then to go home, make dinner, put your kids to bed, and come back tomorrow. Because the strait doesn't stop, not for politics, not for war, not for you or me. The oil moves, the boats move, the people go on living. In one of the most extraordinary and most fragile places on the face of the earth, the Strait of Hormuz is 21 miles wide. "21 miles that carry 20% of the world's oil. 21 miles of extraordinary beauty and extraordinary tension. 21 miles of ordinary people living extraordinary lives. I hope we told their story right. If this video meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to see the world a little differently. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for watching.